But yeah, so my name is Nathan Carpenter. This is my wife, Marcella.
Hello.
And then our two daughters are around here somewhere. They're Eden and Lydia. Oh, yes, here they are. And Lydia is 9 months old, and Eden turns 4 next month. And so, yeah, it's been fun and exciting. And we live in Sicily, Italy, and we've been there for the last year and a half.
So it's the little spot where we do our ministry is where the red mark is on the island, and it's a very strategic location just because it's really close to North Africa, which is where a lot of refugees come through the Middle East and North Africa, and they try to get to Europe. And so we're in the southernmost point of Sicily, where like it kind of is that bridge. So instead of telling you all the amazing things that Mission Notre Vie, the organization we work for, what they're able to do, we thought we would show you in a video. So.
In my wrestling and in my doubts, in my failures, you won't walk out. Your great love will lead me through. You are the peace in my troubled sea. Whoa, you are the peace in my troubled sea. In the silence, you won't let go. In the questions, your truth will hold. Your great love will lead me through. You are the peace in my troubled sea. Whoa, you are the peace in my troubled sea. My lighthouse, shining in the darkness, I will follow you. My lighthouse, I will trust the promise. You will carry me safe to shore, safe to shore, safe to shore, safe to shore. I won't fear what tomorrow brings. With each morning I'll rise and sing. My God's love will lead me through. You are the peace in my troubled sea. Whoa, you are the peace in my troubled sea. Oh, you are my light, my lighthouse, shining in the darkness. I will follow you. Oh, my lighthouse, I will trust the promise. You will carry me safe to shore, safe to shore, safe to shore, safe to shore. Fire before us, you're the brightest. You will lead us through the storms. Fire before us, you're the brightest. You will lead us through the storms. Fire before us, you're the brightest. You will lead us through the storms. Fire before us, you're the brightest. You will lead us through the storms. My lighthouse, shining in the darkness, I will follow you.
Yes. Yeah, so that's just a little taste of the last year and a half of different ministries that we've been able to do. And yeah, as you can see, there's a lot of different things that we have our hand in over there. And so some of those things are things that they've been doing for a long time. Some of those things are things that we've just started up because there's a lot of flexibility in what we can do. And every quarter we step back as a team and evaluate, okay, what do we want to continue doing? What are the things that have been going well? What are the things that have not been going well? And so we have that flexibility of constantly changing, and especially working with refugees and migrants, the needs change all the time. And so, so it's really nice to be able to have the flexibility to make those adjustments almost pretty much in real time of like, whatever we see that needs to happen, then we can kind of
Pivot
and make that our focus. So yeah, thank you guys for letting us share the video. And then primarily what we're going to be talking about today is missions. I'm going to be sharing a little bit about Paul's missionary journeys. And then we're also going to be sharing some of our journey this last year and a half. And so to start out, we're going to start off with missions is a calling. And so as we can see in Acts 13, 2-3, this was in reference to before Paul's missionary journeys. They were praying and fasting, and then they felt like there was, the Holy Spirit said, set apart Barnabas and Saul for the work which I have called them. Then, when they fasted and prayed and laid their hands on them, they sent them out. And so the three main things that we see in there, we see a calling from God, that this is something that they're being called to a specific thing. Then there's fasting and prayer, and then the leadership of the church is sending them out. They are commissioning them to go and to serve. And so, so since not all of you know us very well, we wanted to share a little bit of our story of how we feel like the Lord called us into missions.
Yes. So before we met, we both each individually felt that calling for missions. And we were doing things kind of individually. And then when we got married, we realized that calling was also for our family. And so in early 2021, we started sensing that God was kind of shifting that and having us to go out. So Nathan had worked for YWAM Jacksonville for 10 years. And in order for me to join him, I had to do the introductory school. And so we went to Switzerland. Eden was one. And we chose Switzerland because it had a family-friendly training, DTS training. And so after that, we had a strong calling to work with Muslims just as a couple. And so it worked out because our outreach was in North Africa, where there were 90% Muslims. And so there I am preaching at a church with Eden on my lap. And you can guess where we are based on that photo. And so and then we did vision trips, and we did vision trips to 2 locations, Cyprus and Sicily. And with that, the intent was, let's meet the team and pray on the land and see where God is calling us, because these 2 specifically had very similar ministries, pioneering, working with refugees. And so once we finished that, we both prayed individually and about where we wanted our family to be. And when we came together, we both had Sicily, which was really cool. And so since we left in January and we moved to Sicily in January of 2024, so it's been a year and a half, and we had Lydia there. As soon as we moved, literally a week later, we found out we were pregnant, which was great, very exciting, but also it just was a lot of adjustment to a lot of different things really quickly. But I think the best part is just we see Paul and Barnabas were sent out by the church. We felt that support, Reborn here, you guys support us, and it makes all the difference. You guys pray for us, you believe in us, you support us, and not just in what God's doing in Sicily, but really us as a family. You care about us, and that really makes a difference. And so we wanted to say thank you,
Yes.
but also just that we see that you guys are sending us out, and you believe in that. So it's great.
Yes. And so the next point that we wanted to share about missions is missions is commitment. And one thing that, just a phrase that we saw that really felt like it summed up missions in a lot of ways is, missions is showing up daily even when the breakthrough takes years. And that's so much of what life is on the mission field. Because I had done short-term missions a lot when I was working with YWAM Jacksonville, because I would be on short-term teams or sending out short-term teams. And yeah, there's so much that is there in that is really good, but also it's so different than moving somewhere and getting immersed in the culture and then learning the language and doing all these other things that are necessary for living somewhere new. But missions is commitment. It's so key. And for us, one thing that has really stood out is consistency. Just consistency with people can make such a difference. There is one refugee camp that I've been going to every week since September. We partnered with this refugee camp because they had a group of new guys that had come in, and the Italian government offers like a language school for adults. That's actually one that I went to for the first 4 months. But a lot of refugees and migrants go to those schools. But these guys got in just too late to register for that semester. So they were going to be, the next semester was going to be in like February. So they weren't going to have any language school until February, and this is in September. So they were like, can you guys come and can you teach them Italian? Can you get to know the guys? Really, like, we just want them to be able to get to know some people. And so we were like, yeah, we'll come. And so our team leader, he's Italian, so he came for the first few months and he taught Italian because, I mean, I'm still learning. I'm not ready to go teach an Italian class. But he was really good. He came in for the first few months and he was walking them through the basics of Italian. And so we were getting to know the guys, and really, like, after the school started, and the guys, they were a bit more established by that point, so they were starting to get jobs and working. And so a lot of them stopped coming to our like Friday mornings, because we would go every Friday morning. But we were still like, yeah, we're just gonna keep coming for the people that are there. We're here to get to know people and be involved in whatever way. And so if there's people that still want us around, then we're gonna be around. And so yeah, we've just continued to do that. And like our team leader, he stopped coming after they started going to school, because he was like, I've got other things I need to focus on. I can't do that. But a couple of us other people continued to go. And so it was like we would have a few people that were coming pretty consistently. And there was one Friday morning, I was like, one of the guys who was there pretty regularly, he texted me and he was like, yeah, I'm not going to be there. I started working again, so I can't make it this morning. Sorry. And I was like, yeah, that's all right. We're going to be there anyway. But so if you see us, that's great. But if not, that's okay too. And so I went in and I was like, I don't know if anybody's going to be coming today, but I think only one other time there had been like no one came. And so I was like, okay, well, I'll just go. And so I go in, and I was there for probably about 30 minutes or so, and no one had come in yet. And so I was like, okay, well, I'll just hang out here a little bit longer and we'll see how it goes. And then these two guys walk in. They're two Bengali guys, so they're from Bangladesh. And one of them I had met a little bit before, and the other one, I think I had seen him, but I had never met him before. And they come in and they're like, said something, and I didn't really understand it, and I was like, what? And then they said it again, and I still didn't know what they said. And so I was like, well, we'll just use Google Translate. That'll work out better. So we whip out Google Translate, and they're like, we want to talk about religion. I was like, okay, come on. Like, that sounds good. And so one of the guys, his thing, he's like, just comes out, he's like, how do I become a Christian? I want to become a Christian. And I'm like, okay, like, that can't be much more of a wide open door than this. Yeah. And this is the guy, like, I've never met him before. Like, wow. But one of the other guys who had come to the classes before, and he knew this guy, and he knew that this guy was wanting to know more and learn more, and he had recommended him. He was like, if you want to know more, like, go talk to these people because they're really nice. And so he was, so yeah, he just came in and we got to talk about Jesus. I asked him some questions just to understand like what was his understanding of Christianity, and just some probing things to really understand where he was coming from. And yeah, he was just like, yeah, I want to become a Christian. He's like, I have met a lot of Christians, a lot of people here. He's like, there's actually a Christian I grew up with, which is super rare. In Bangladesh, it's one of the largest unreached people groups in the world is from Bangladesh. And so for him to know somebody from growing up is, just really special. And so that guy didn't get to see the fruit, but we did. Yeah. We got to see the fruit of that guy living out his life before this other guy. And so, yeah, he said, he's like, I want to commit my life to Jesus. And so I walked him through that morning, and then we met a couple times, but that happened like 2 weeks before we left. So I've texted him a few times since we've been back, and I gave him a New Testament that he's been reading through, and then I'll pick up back on that when we get back. But it was just a really cool opportunity to see like that being committed, even when you're like, what are we going to this camp for? Like 3 or 4 guys show up every once, sometimes maybe one guy shows up. What's the point? And the point is that showing up can show them that you're going to be there, that you're going to be the person that they can rely on, even when you don't even know who they are. But it gives you the opportunity that whenever the Lord wants to bring someone in your path, that they know where to find you, they know where you're going to be, and that you can be there when God really wants to create an opportunity. And so that was just a really, really neat opportunity, because like our team leaders, they were talking about it. They're like, really, that's only happened to us. Like they've been there for like 12 years. They're like, we've only had that happen like twice. And the entire, like if someone just come up and just, I want to become a Christian, without anything else, just showing up and just saying, I want to become a Christian. And so for us, that was just really encouraging and really, really exciting to be a part of. And so I'm excited to go back and to continue the relationship and get to really deepen that relationship, and hopefully, see him grow more in his relationship with Jesus.
But I also wanted to talk a little bit about, because Nathan mentioned short-term versus long-term missions, and how I think sometimes it's compared, but really you can't have one without the other. So I know you guys just did a trip to London. How cool is that? So before I moved to Sicily, I think my longest was 3 months, but before that it was like 1 month in North Africa. And it feels like every single day I was seeing in short-term trips like salvation, healing, miracles, evangelism, and it's like so fast-paced, and you're like bam, 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 bam. And I think when we moved to Italy, I was maybe expecting like a very similar lifestyle, but it's actually like the opposite kind of. It's much slower. And so it's like where that commitment comes in. So like short term, it takes a different kind of commitment, because you have your team that you need to like get to know and really serve with them. And you give your time and your energy, and it can be really exhausting because your schedule is really full. And you want to take a break a lot of times because you just want to rest, but like then there's that commitment to your team of like when just one person's out, it affects everything. So that's like short term. Long term is a different kind of commitment. You're learning new languages, you're figuring out the government, you're adjusting to a completely different way of life, and you don't have a ticket home. Like you're just like, okay, God, this is home, until you say it's not home anymore. So I think of it like this. Long-term missionaries, they build the foundation for the short-term missionaries. So when the short-term missionaries come, they have so many things to do. But long-term missionaries, if they were to do a schedule like a short-term trip, it wouldn't be sustainable. So, and also long-term missionaries have their reputation, their security, and their safety to kind of like keep intact in order to do ministry with the locals. And so short-term ministries don't have that same pressure. So how they function and what they can do looks a lot different in the country. And it's actually very helpful for long-term missionaries. I remember being on a short-term trip in North Africa, and the long-term missionary had said to our team, do whatever you want, and I will clean it up later, which is like, which is very generous, because what he was saying was like, go make relationships, go like evangelize, go tell people about the gospel. If you make any connections, like I follow up, but like also I will like deal with it afterwards, which was very sweet. So something I love the most about the relationship between short-term and long-term missions is that short-term sparks those relationships and finds those people that are really curious, because you guys are normally on the ground doing like evangelism and all these things that are like super helpful. And then long-term workers are able to follow up with those relationships, build on those seeds, and walk people in the long haul. So we need both, and we all just need to be faithful to what God's given us, whether it's 2 weeks or 2 years.
Yeah, and to jump back to Paul, so Paul, we know, if we know anything about his life, he was very committed. Actually, one of the biggest reasons that he was, one of the biggest reasons that his second missionary journey, why Paul and Barnabas split up, was because of their relationship with John Mark, who had started the first journey with them, and then at one of the first few stops, he went back to Jerusalem. And so when on the next journey, Barnabas was like, let's have John Mark come with us. And Paul was like, no, he didn't stick with us the last time. We're not bringing him this time. And they disagreed about that so strongly that they ended up not even going on the same missionary journey together. They both went separate ways, Paul and Barnabas. And so that's when Paul and Silas went off and did the second missionary journey. But also what we see is just throughout Paul's entire life, not just his missionary journey, he went, there's three that are like mentioned. They think there might have been 4. Some people think that, but we see Paul going through, and his commitment to those churches and his commitment to the call that God gave him was lifelong. He never stopped He never stopped with that commitment. He was very unwavering. Now, he spent various lengths of time in different places. A lot of them, particularly in the first missionary journey, was a lot of shorter times. Sometimes he spent 1.5 years, 2 years in some places. But we can see that he was just so committed to the call that God gave him. And as we know, there was a lot of fruit out of his life. And the next point we wanted to make is missions is relational. And so, what we can think of here is going back to with Paul with that is like, he was so relational that the second missionary journey started off with, he was inspired by the idea of, let's go visit the people that we saw last time and see how they're doing. Let's go and encourage the church. Let's go and do these things. And so just his desire to have relationship and to deepen those relationships was the whole reason that he wanted to do a second missionary journey. And then thanks to his relationships with people, and we have a majority of the New Testament was written by the letters that he sent, maintaining the relationships with the churches, maintaining the relationships with the people that he had met along the way. And so we can see just through his life just how important relationship is, and how, not just how it is for him and those specific individuals, but for us as the body of Christ over the long term, over 2,000 years later, we're still taking those parts of those aspects of relationship that were so strong to him, that he wrote them out and then sent them all over. And now we get to continue to know and understand more about God through his value for relationship. And so for us, we just really being able to get to build the relationships has been so important. And particularly, Marcella's got to invest a lot into the kids and our relationship with the kids in the community. And so she wanted to share about that.
Yes, so I love children's ministry because I love children. Jesus says, let the children come to me. It's also a really good doorway into really having the families learn to like trust us in the community. And so I love it because everywhere we go, like we live in a big city for Sicily, but it is still like a very small city compared to like Jacksonville or something. And so I love everywhere we go, like when we see kids, they're just so excited and they run up to us and they're like, oh my goodness, da-da, and they tell us all about what's going on in their lives. And so we had the idea of art club. And it was a really, really fun program. But like the whole time they would just be like, Marcella, look, because they just love that. I'd be like, oh my goodness, I love your art. Like it's because they don't get that in school. Even in school, like they don't get these things like art programs and stuff like that. And so, obviously like I cannot fully meet that need, but God can. And we do our best once again to like create this space while we're there. But we've had the opportunity to teach biblical principles to a lot of the children. So we had English Bible camp, which is kind of like VBS is what you could say. So like for the younger kids, it's VBS. For the older teenagers, it's more like a youth camp, I guess. But it was really cool because we had 7 of the participants with a Muslim background, and the parents knew like it's an English Bible camp. We don't hide anything from them. It's very transparent. And one of the girls actually shared that like she's an older 14-year-old that like at the beginning of the camp, she felt like distant from God because we showed her like the 3 circles. I don't know if you guys know that, but it shows like where you are in your relationship with God. And then at the end, like after the camp, she felt like her relationship had been restored. And she said like, I'm in a whole relationship with God. And so that was just really encouraging to know that, the programs we offer also like they are learning from them. And it's interesting because in a country where like you're passing a Catholic church every 5 minutes, and the Catholic Church has such a big influence on the culture. There's a lot of summer camps for kids run by the Catholic Church, and all the kids are getting enrolled in them. But there's still something different about what we offer because the girls had said, like the older girls, it was really special this year. We had 9 girls, 12 and up, just girls, not on purpose. That's just what God did. And they said like they had never experienced anything like what was offered that week for them. And they hadn't learned about God that way because how it's taught in different settings is just, it's different. And I think it's more traditional and legalistic. And so we try to make it fun and interactive. And we talked all about journaling and how like you can get creative with it and you can talk to God in different ways. And we always had a creative application every day, and they really, really were engaged. And so we're just encouraged because it reminds us that we're not just sharing about religion, but we're teaching on like God's culture above all. And so it's not like these other cultures, like all the people we work with, like the stories we have, it's not saying like we're right and they're wrong. But it's more that we just want all of us to live in kingdom culture where there's like ultimate reconciliation. And that's the goal. It's not to say like you're not parenting your child right. It's let's see what God says about this and really reflect on like, how can we parent better? Even me, like I am not a perfect parent. And I think it's just leveling the playing field. It's really easy to go like this, like I know more, I'm here from the Western world, but like constantly being like, no, we're here and we're both have a place to learn together. And I'm not better than you and you're not better than me. And we've both been hurt from people and it sucks. Like, there's evil in the world and it sucks. So I think that's where the relationship comes in of like, just always staying equal, when serving, and even with the children. Like, I really think like they have so much to teach us, you know, and I've learned so much from them.
Yeah. And then the last point that we want to talk about is missions is a spiritual battle. And as we, if you read through Paul's missionary journeys, like there were so many times that he was chased out of cities because the people got upset about what he was saying. Some people followed him from one city to another city to try and chase him out of that city too. And he was stoned. He was imprisoned. He experienced so much persecution. And yes, some like that is very physical, the aspect of it. But I think for someone to get really upset and to follow you from one city to another city and try and get all these crowds to go against you, like you're not just dealing with that person, you're dealing with spiritual forces. You're dealing with the enemy who doesn't want the kingdom of God to be advanced. And so yeah, I mean, a lot of those things can look like just very human, natural things, but often, a lot of times, there's spiritual forces behind those things. And so I know for one of the things for us that we've experienced is, we've only got to experience a little bit because the situation existed before we arrived, but for the ministry, during COVID, they felt like God told them to buy a property. So they bought it. So they started a fundraiser, and I think within like 6 weeks or something, like 95,000 euros came in. They like bought the property outright. And it was a big property. It was going to be the new like community center. And there was also a government grant available at the time to be able to do renovations, and then the government would cover the costs. So they were like, okay, well, they got the contractors involved and the project manager and all that stuff. And yeah, they're like, let's go ahead and do this. But then the construction company and the contract manager basically were like, well, there's this since the grant is available, let's not just like do the electrical and the plumbing. Let's like redo the windows and the floors and let's do everything since the funding is there. So they wrote up. That wasn't really what the ministry wanted to do. They mainly just wanted the things, but in the end, the construction company and the project manager are the ones who like submit everything. So they submitted a 500,000 euro project to the government. And then, I mean, it got approval, and then they started the deconstruction of the building. And then, because so many people have been taking advantage of this particular government program and not doing it in the right way, the government was like, we're not going to be putting any more funds into this. So they did about $150,000 worth of destruction on the building, and then construction stopped. And so it's at, even when we arrived, it had been on hold for 3 years at that point, where nothing, like the project manager hadn't even stepped in the building for like 2 years. And so they were trying to get information from the government, because the government said like, there's this that's available, like the money might still be available for nonprofits, which the organization is. But long story short, the government was like, nope, no, we're not going to get funds for that either. Whatever happened, and we're just done. And so last year, we found out that, okay, we were able to cut off the old contract with the construction company and all that kind of stuff, and and we would be able to continue the construction, but we'd have to finance it all the rest of the repairs. So we got a construction company that was like willing to take on the project, and they were like, they estimate that it'll probably be around 200,000 euros to put everything back together. And so I say this some to talk about what we're doing coming up, but also just to talk about like the spiritual battle of this is like at almost every single turn we've experienced difficulty with the building. It's so like true. Every like few months there'd be like, okay, there's this, and then oh wait, no, not really. No, wait, there's this, because it was a whole process of like, okay, we're gonna dissolve the contract with the old contract and then write a new contract. But then they had to get a lawyer involved, because all the like engineer and the construction company were suing each other about ways that things are handled, and then like they weren't talking to each other and all these things, and then like they got a lawyer involved. Then the lawyer like helped try and get things dissolved, and then one of the people was like, well, we're not gonna pay for the lawyer, so you have to pay, like the ministry has to pay for the lawyer fees, or else we're not gonna dissolve the contract, which means we can't move forward. And it's just like every single time that it seems like there's a step forward, there's like a step back.
Even right now, like we finished the top floor, hallelujah, but now they're not starting the second floor because Tina is the only one there, and it's a very patriarchal system sometimes. And because Francesco's not there right now, like for a month, 2 months, 3 months, I think, they're just like, we're not going to talk about it. And so it's just like we finished the top, woo! Now let's move to the second. No, it's on pause. So it's just like still happening.
But yeah, so it seems like even just in doing normal things, it's just like, let's just continue to fight for these things in prayer. Mm-hmm. Really taking it to the spiritual aspect of things, like, okay, wrong things happened. People shouldn't have done what they did. But ultimately, like, our battle is not against flesh and blood. It's against spiritual principalities and powers. And so, so for us right now, we, as Marcella said, like, we have been able to raise some funds. We've gotten about 80,000 that's come in towards the repairs. And the construction company has already finished the whole top floor. And so we're really excited about that. There's 3 other floors to do, but they decided to start at the top because that's where the roof is. And if you don't fix the roof, then everything else underneath isn't really worth too much if you fix it up. And so yeah, now we think we have enough to go ahead and do the next floor. They were still trying to get an estimate, which it seems like that's really difficult to get an estimate too. So, and so yeah, so what we're doing, part of the reason that we came back early and we wanted to be able to share with churches and things is because we wanted to be able to give an opportunity to partner with this project to help work towards finishing the building. So this is going to be an outreach center, and I think we have a video that will tell more about that. Yes, and it shows
like the state of it and everything.
Yeah.
And also, like, we did do like the crafting for a cause, which was all the women in the community came and like made jewelry and mosaics, and I mean, we have so many different things and to sell. And so we will have that set up in the back as well, but you'll see an interview with them because it started as like crafting for a cause, but then because of the situation with the women, like it was around the same time, like 4 women in particular, like their husbands had left them. They were responsible for their children. They weren't getting like any help from the ex-husbands. And so we had the idea of like Business 101. So they could learn business skills and they could then have these skills of like jewelry making and all these things. And now they will be able to sell it for their own income. And so we have an interview also in this next video with some of the ladies talking about the impact it had on them.
Hello from Ragusa, Sicily. We have been here working with a team of international missionaries for more than 12 years to help those in need and serve the migrant and refugee community.
Europe is facing a migrant and refugee crisis. Politicians have different opinions on how to respond, and some oppose completely migration. As Christians, we love to apply the Word of God that says, "What does the Lord require of you? To act justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God."
We currently offer a day center where we host workshops and seminars, Bible studies, children's and women ministry, and after-school tutoring for children in Italian so they can better integrate into society and school.
I decided to join the Business 101 because I want to improve in myself and also to be useful to the society.
And I love everything about them. I love the way they accommodate everybody. They love us equally. I love the confidence they give people, the way they will make us to believe in ourselves. I love being with them because they are so nice people. Yeah.
So what I learned about this place is so fun. I learned how to make beads, jewelries, just name it, different kinds of things here. So I also make new friends.
And also I want to say thank you to everyone who has been contributing. I say God bless you. Coming from peace with a clean heart.
4 years ago, we were able to purchase a property. Since then, we have worked hard to renovate it into a building with 4 apartments.
Thank you for partnering with us. Together, we will bring hope and restoration to the people of Ragusa and beyond.
Those are our leaders, so
Yeah.
they're amazing people.
Yeah, so if any of you guys are interested in being able to partner with the finishing of the project for the building, you can come and talk to either one of us and we can share more about how to do that. But we just wanted to say thank you guys so much for letting us come and spend this morning with you guys. It's always a pleasure to be here, and you guys are just such a blessing in our lives, and so we just wanted to say thank you and blessings on you guys.